stop analyzing and critiquing the victim. Turn your critique to the problem, Destiny. Have the courage to do that, man.
You know that you can simultaneously
almost done.
Do you understand
I swear to God.
when somebody refused to speak up in a private channel and like separate himself from his friends, that you like turned this guy into his college, that you like emailed his professor, his institution?
Yes. I mean, you could call it a Batman complex if you wanted to be really mean about it. Hello from Australia.
Hello, Alice. How are you doing today?
Good.
All right. Introduce yourself. What do you want to talk today about?
So, my name's Alice. I play video games. I'm a behavior analyst. So I'm a psychologist and a behavior analyst. And I guess I want to talk about women and minorities in gaming. Great. Now there's like birds of paradise making noise. Yeah, great. I have to move again. Okay, I'm sorry. Someone has some like exotic birds in a cage in this yard. But yeah, I want to talk about women in gaming. I want to talk about gaming from the behavioral analytics perspective, I guess, and just what I've observed in the 7 years that I've been a PC gamer in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So kind of like the interaction of being a mental health professional and a gamer.
All right. Well,
and I have a few things to say about gaming right now.
Sure thing. Hit me up. What do you got?
Well, so I've been gaming since I was 8. I guess I'm just
wait. Hold on, real quick.
About this.
To clarify, so you said you were a behavior analyst. Are you in school now, or are you graduated and this is like your current profession?
So I graduated psychology, then I went into the mental health field and worked with people with complex needs. So mostly people on the autism spectrum, like very like low functioning autism spectrum, lots of challenging behaviors, aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for a few years. Then decided that I don't want to be on the floor, like on the front line, because I would write so many of the intervention strategies, right? So I'm like working below my pay grade at this point. And higher ups were just taking my strategies, plotting them into behavior plans, and then publishing that and then sending it out to staff. So I'm like, I found that I was like pretty much by proxy writing the therapeutic interventions on the floor, but not being paid for it. So then I was like, nah, I'm going to go do my master's. So I'm halfway through my master's in behavior analytics.
Okay.
And that's kind of just where I'm at right now. I'm more focusing on the academic side of things so I can get that. I'll finish master's soon and I slung my resume over to America and they're pretty much willing to hire me as therapists over there and here. But I still just want to finish this. Like I want to get my master's just because I think that would make me more relevant in my field, even though I'm already pretty employable in it. But, and I just want to learn more about the behavioral theory. So when I do start implementing therapeutic strategies, they're more steeped in the science of behavior analytics. Do you know Pavlov and the drooling dogs? Just so I can like ground it. So it's basically it's the branch of psychology that's the most empirical branch at this point. It's based most on the scientific method. It's been tested. It's replicable in laboratory settings. It's not like this like Freudian or like cognitive branch of psychology where it's like, oh, you've got like schemas. You have like a perfection schema, or you have like an avoidance schema, or, oh, you're in love with your mother, or like, it's not like this. Can I swear in Twitch? I'm very new to Twitch.
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
Yep, you're fine.
Yeah, it's not like this, like, this fluffy kind of like pseudo. I don't want to say pseudoscience because we got to where we are now because of Freud, because of the cognitive revolution, because of information processing theory. Like, we wouldn't have gotten here and realized what the most empirical form of, behavioral intervention is going to be, if not for them. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at. And, it's a very based on that cause and effect, deterministic branch, or like that paradigm of, you don't look at a person as like a disorder. You look at them as a cause and effect chain of trauma or things that happen to them over the narrative of their lifetime. that led them to engaging in maladaptive behaviors as an adult. So it's very cause and effect based, very evidence based.
Gotcha. Okay. So, in specifics regards to what did you want to talk about on stream today? It seemed like you had some specific complaints or
God.
concerns related to gaming stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, so for me personally, it's sort of anecdotal, but it's also steeped in the research. I got into PC gaming 7 years ago, and I went from being a console gamer since age 8, transitioning to PC. But the first 3-4 years of that, I had a boyfriend. I always had a boyfriend. I was always dating like some gamer guy, and so I was always queuing with a dude. So I would get like the backlash of being a chick in video games, but to a much less severe extent. And then this is the longest I've actually been single in my life at this point. And about 7 months ago, I started what I like to refer to as my baptism in Babylon in gaming. I'm single, I'm queuing by myself. I don't have a guy with me when I'm playing Overwatch or whatever, or CSGO. And I also sort of went in very kind of I want to be an esports psychologist, thinking that the biggest issue we face as gamers is ego problems, maybe among team-based video game,
Mm-hmm.
contexts, dynamics, whatever. So I knew I got a lot of the sexual harassment again before that, but I didn't realize it was this bad until I really started going into Discords, into esports communities, trying to embed myself within esports. That's when I saw how toxic and how insidious this culture has become. Do you want me to just run off some of my experiences and we could
Or
talk
well, no,
about
I
the
guess
research? Or
so. I guess typically there's two parts to any, I guess, kind of activist thing we can do. Is that one is we can make people aware of it. I think most people are kind of aware of it, and then two, I guess, based on your perspective, it's kind of what can we do to help or alleviate these problems, and then I just have a few questions.
yeah, of course.
I guess so. If you want, I guess you could share some of your experiences, and then what do you think that we should be doing differently as a community to rectify some of these problems?
I think a lot of us are at the identification phase right now, where we're just seeing it. For example, I'll just run off quickly some of the stuff I've experienced. I've been in for-profit esports servers where I've been sexually harassed by just random guys in channels, in general channels, and leadership. This is the thing, 16, 17-year-old dudes, they've been socialized into this culture. I don't have beef with them. It's not their fault. But then you have 35-year-old leaders of esports organizations suppressing recorded Twitch videos, right? So they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to review this video. It's terrible what happened to you. It's disgusting what was said to you. Next minute, they wait exactly 2 weeks for Twitch videos I don't know a lot about Twitch, but I think it's a turnaround of 2 weeks before it gets removed from the Twitch libraries or something. And then they just delete the video. And it's no one knows where the video is. So these are grown men protecting this kind of behavior within their esports teams.
Okay.
Right? And this is not the first time I've experienced this. I've had an esports investor contact me through the official Overwatch Discord server, saying yeah, I really want to hire an esports psychologist. And then during salary contract negotiations, tried to pressure me to date him when I fly out to Canada to meet him, and look at his penis right at that point in the contract where we're talking about my salary for this potential position. And I'm just grassroots. I'm not grasssomeone who's up there. I'm just a grassroots gamer who happens to be a psychologist, right? And then you hear it the higher level, the director of, who was it? Ubisoft? Or Bethesda or someone, them having to stand down. Twitch streamers being permanently banned. It's totally embedded in the culture all the way up to the top. Even I read an article about the Twitch culture, the corporate culture at Twitch. Staff are complaining and speaking out about like the casual racism and misogyny that exists within Twitch corporate culture. So it's like, I'm not going to go around like blaming like teenagers and guys in their early 20s who have been socialized into this. And maybe it's a trickle down, like maybe it's like trickle down social economics. It's the first instance in which trickle down is actually working, where this is coming from leadership in gaming. What kind of example are they setting up there? You know, and where is it coming from? And is it like a tapestry? Is it an interaction of factors? That's what I'm saying. We're at the identification phase of figuring out like why. Why is this happening? You had questions.
Well, I guess the main question is, what do you think we should do? What do you think is the way forward? How do we get people to act in a better way?
It's hugely based on socialization. So let me think. Like, I go into a channel and a lot of it is social desirability effects. So you go in, you're the only girl. Discord, for example, is majority male. There's no question. If you don't think it isn't, you're living in a fantasy world. So they're already in the majority. Girls and women are pouring into games at like alarming rates. But something has happened. There's been like this exodus of girls out of Discord, out of gaming, or they're creating their own all-female spaces. I'm in like 3 all-girl spaces right now, through Facebook, through Discord. It's like at the point where women are so sick of the death and the rape threats, the requests for nudes. Like a lot of it's embedded in memetics, like meme culture as well. Like this, like, oh, send feet pics. Dude, like, can I get some bath water?
Can you ask
like, it's
her to
very
stop
embedded
hitting the
within
mic?
meme culture. And that's problematic too, obviously. And they think that they're joking, but when you've heard that 25 times in a day, that starts to traumatize you. And there's research saying that, you know, I mean, the research is out. Girls get at a higher rate with a severity that bullying is everywhere, but the severity, the sexually charged, threatening nature of the bullying we get is on another level. It just is, you know? I think that I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's like, we're the adults in gaming, right?
Okay.
Our Twitch streamers who have this platform, who have this privilege, how much are they all talking about this stuff? Like, Twitch and Discord populations overlap. Your Twitch viewers are the Discord community. They are the gaming Discord community. I hear that they're trying to create like this wholesome form of modeling behavior. Again, I don't consume a lot of Twitch, but I've talked to a bunch of people since reaching out to you. And they're telling me like, yeah, they are attempting to model that behavior at like that higher level. But I'm wondering if it's like, it's quite passive and they don't want to be too controversial. I'm guessing like 50% of gamers identify as being conservative. So imagine as a popular streamer, you start ranting about feminism and women's rights and how girls are treated in gaming. You could alienate yourself.
Sure. So what do you think,
brand.
what do you think needs to change?
Everything. Like, I've thought about creating a workshop on, so I've talked to a bunch of teenagers and I'm like, how often does someone come into your school and talk about trauma from cybersexual bullying and the impacts of cybersexual bullying and what this actually does to the brain and what conforming to these group dynamics actually does, what the real impacts are? Most teenagers will be like, no one fucking does that, Alice. Like, no one comes into our schools and does that. You know, so I think that could be a starting point. It's not going to be like, it's a bit of a band-aid, but it could be a starting point. Like, most parents have no clue what Discord is. They don't know what their sons are doing on Discord. Like, they have no clue. I go into an average Among Us server, right? There's teenage boys and maybe there's one minority chick. I'll jump into a channel and a girl will open her mouth to speak and you'll hear a 15-year-old boy go, "Shut the fuck up, whore." No one cares. I hear this all the time, like to some like 13-year-old chick just trying to play Among Us.
Okay.
All the time, right? So I think a workshop or a module that theoretically I could create and talk about these psychological impacts. Why do we conform? Why do we conform around the resident narcissist within any group situation? Whoever's just bullying or being the most toxic, they'll just create this like echo chamber around them where like every other dude will laugh and encourage him and egg him on. What are the mechanisms behind that? Why do we do it? Imagine going out to imagine being approved through education boards to go out and talk about this, like to 15 to 17-year-olds, to make them a little bit more aware of what they're actually engaging in. And this meme, this like it's just the internet, bruh, is such bullshit, because we're seeing like actual psychological impacts occur from this stuff. We're seeing that women are 3 times more likely to have PTSD than men are.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of this. That seems to be pretty self-evident almost at this point. I'm just curious what you think we should do to like kind of curb
I think
this
it needs to happen. I think it needs to happen with, modules for one, like educating them on, hey, here's some proactive ways of getting a girl's attention instead of, asking her for nudes. I think and then I think, so that at that level of education, but I also think the example needs to be set from streamers. Like, you all have this platform, you have this power, and I don't think you realize like the power that you have, I've seen it even at a micro level where big personalities in a Discord will be arguing with me about like, oh, sexual harassment doesn't happen. And they might be quite educated. They're these like Ben Shapiro-esque cherry picker type guys that know how to argue. And then there'll be like these guys listening in and they're silent, they're lurkers. Next minute I go back to my server and a bunch of them will pour into my server threatening to rape and strangle me because they've been an observer of something. And that's the thing, like these silent observers, right?
That feels like that's got to be like a minority of people, right? That are actually like running into other servers and threatening to like rape and murder people.
If you go to any of the spaces that I'm in among girl gamers, the prevalence of getting rape and death threats as just a chick in gaming is chilling. The amount of girls I talk to that are like, yeah, I got another rape threat today. It is very common. It is unnervingly common.
Yeah,
as a woman in gaming.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I'm sure that a lot of that happens. Yeah.
You're arguing that it's a minority.
Well,
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
I'm not. By the way, I'm not arguing. I'm just the way that you phrased it before. It almost made it sound like every guy in servers was like coming over afterwards. Like that seems like it would be like an exceptionally rare thing. But that was just the
what I'm arguing is these guys this guy who I was arguing with, for example, he was educated. I'm pretty sure he was very privileged. Went to an Ivy League-ish type school. We were going at it. Everyone's silent, just listening to us. It's the spectacle, people love the spectacle, especially of the girl like debating pretty confidently with this other confident human. And they're like, what I'm saying is they don't realize at that level, the example that they're setting. So if they're like gaslighting pretty much all female culture in gaming and saying, it's not a thing, it doesn't happen. Like you're turning a mountain, like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. When they're doing that, right, they're giving permission for, is it a minority? Maybe. But they're allowing and enabling and giving permission to these guys who are like, ha, she's a fucking crazy bitch, a feminazi, whatever. They don't know it, but they're permitting that behavior because they're not addressing the elephant in the room. They're denying it exists. It's cultural level gaslighting. I see it all the time through the community. Or like people will blatantly, they're living in a fantasy world. They will blatantly tell you girls don't get abused in gaming to the level that, us feminazis claim that we do. And so it's very insidious because once that gaslighting gets like interwoven, even though they're not the guys that would go and like threaten rape and strangulation and trace my IP and send me my own address and tell me they're coming to my house, they're still setting that example. They're creating that kind of like that they're creating that example of like, these women are just crazy, they're of low value. And then the guys who are listening, the audience members, they go and they act on that, you know? So that's what I'm talking about. When you have a platform, when you have that you know, that visibility and you have that reach, what kind, like, here's an example, like, I need to research streaming culture more, but that PewDiePie guy, when he did that video of like the eye tracking technology.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where he said, stupid fucking Twitch thoughts. And then I talked to dudes about it, and he's like, oh, I know who you're talking about. That's that girl that like abused that cat. And I'm just like, maybe she did. Maybe she is a terrible person. But when he makes a comment like, stupid fucking Twitch thoughts, what is he really doing there? And is he aware of it? He's sitting pretty. He's probably very wealthy. He's sitting pretty in his little microcosm, his little echo chamber of fans. And then, like, he doesn't see what's happening at the grassroots.
Sure, yeah, I understand.
Making a statement like that.
Yeah, for large content creators like that,
chain reaction.
Yeah, for large content creators like that, that's probably bad. But for the average person that's listening that wants to try to like improve, I guess, things on the ground, what do you think is a good way to go about that?
Well, you've already started. Just having this conversation with me is you trailblazing that, right? And these conversations need to be had more and more. And I hear about like, even like, there's this guy named Hassan Nabi or something, this streamer. I think he's pretty feminist, and he goes into games and he'll actually like use a voice changer pretending to be a girl, and then record some of the stuff that gets said to him, streaming it on Twitch, roasting these guys, basically modeling like how socially unacceptable this shit is, right? But like, even I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but I went into his server to suss it out. And even in a server run by a feminist streamer in his general channels, some like Trump supporter started adding me, calling me a stupid fucking libtard. And then I get like kicked by all these Biden supporters because I mute the guy. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. Just mute me, man. I'll mute you. It's an amazing feature in Discord. Let's take advantage of it, you know? And they're just like, well, she's a troll. And they kick me after I'm the one who's been verbally abused. So we're even seeing it in like more liberal spaces run by feminist male streamers, where there's like this need for power and control over the female minority within the communities. And this has to stop. Like, it's not okay anymore. So they have these platforms. I'm going to work on my module. I really want to make something, and I really want to bring it to like education boards, like teachers and parents. I'm assuming they have an idea of what goes on, but I don't think they're aware of like how insidious it gets, because these cultures that start off as like, I hate women type meme cultures. I've seen this. I've seen the breaking down psychologically of girl members. And then I've seen like the little like hyena type dudes move in to those psychologically like compromised chicks and start with the sexual coercion side of things. In fact, I've been the girl who's been psychologically broken down by the bullying. And then these guys on like the rim are like, yep, sweet. Or you'll get banned from, I got banned from the official Overwatch server for saying to a mod I got sexually harassed. The official Reddit Overwatch server. And then when I spoke up about it on Reddit, I get shadow banned on the official Overwatch like subreddit, right? And as soon as you get banned from one of these spaces, these dudes are like in your DMs, like, oh my God, that shouldn't have happened to you. You were just speaking out. Like, is there anything I can do? So they wait on this stuff to happen. So it's not even just like at the level of meme. It's not even just at the level of bullying. It's at the level of sexual coercion and sexual exploitation now. Like, that's how deep it's getting.
Do you think sometimes, so I'm just kind of curious, can I just kind of suss out or ask some more specific questions about some of these Discord interactions? Do you ever think sometimes that maybe you might come off as a little bit like overbearing or a little bit intrusive in a way that's making other people feel uncomfortable, or that you might be harassing users?
No, I think that when you go into these spaces, so there's a whole bunch of research on the backlash effect, right?
Uh-huh.
And I love this research. It's basically global replicated research. And what it states is that so I'm pretty non-binary in the way that I interact. You
What do
can
you
go
mean by
into
that?
a
Wait, can you
server
be
and
more specific about that?
so like the idea of gender norms, I pretty much at this point,
Well, so okay, so real
I
quick, I
don't.
know what gender norms mean, and I know what non-binary means. I'm just curious what you mean when you say that.
So the way I arrived here
Mm-hmm.
is I don't feel always like a woman, and I don't always feel like a man. I feel kind of like zero gender, and there are a few people who are kind of vibing on this too. It's becoming more of a thing. It sort of fits into gender queerness or gender fluidity.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found with the research on backlash effect, that you can go into a context where there's like very confident males speaking very confidently and even with like an edge of aggression to their tone.
Mm-hmm.
But that will be acceptable and that will be rewarded within the community. That will be totally rewarded. People will, pander to that, listen to that guy, give him a voice.
Mm-hmm.
The research shows us, and this is through like corporate culture, gaming culture, wherever, if a female acts in a similar way, with a similar level of confidence, asserts herself and asserts her points, there is backlash for that because you are behaving in a way that is counter to a gender norm, and people aren't necessarily ready for that. It's not aggression, it's assertiveness. It's like, this is what my beliefs are.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm
So
finding is
I can understand what you're saying in terms of like sometimes an aggressive woman can come off as being like bitchy, whereas like an aggressive man can come off as being like a respectable leader or something. There's like a double standard there, right? Mm-hmm.
I don't think aggressive's the right word.
Sure,
I think it's
I don't mean
confident.
to. Sure, we can say
I think it's
confident if you want. Yeah,
confident, right? So like,
but
so you're just confident, you're abrupt, you're to the point.
mm-hmm.
You would be quote unquote more masked, and you
Yeah,
could be
I can
like
understand that. Sure.
perfectly, yeah, you could be perfectly amiable.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in and you can be friendly about it
Mm-hmm.
and say like, look, I just don't agree with this, and here's the
Sure,
research, and
I
this is
can.
why.
Yeah, and I can understand that. So I guess part of my curiosity for this conversation is that I'm aware of your presence in a few other Discord servers, but it seems like your conduct is a little bit surprising or shocking to some people. Which I guess I'm kind of curious in terms of like how you square that with how we should approach like solving or rectifying some of these problems.
Well,
For instance, like I
yeah.
heard that you got into a kerfuffle with a few people on another Discord server. I don't know the name of the person, Darian or Dario or something.
DIRL.
DIRL. Oh
So
yeah, that
this,
guy. Yeah.
yes.
So I mean, I was made aware there that when somebody refused to speak up in a private channel and like separate himself from his friends, that you like turned this guy into his college, that you like emailed his professor, his institution.
Yes. No. So with this one, I went into this server and you go in and these people are making rape jokes.
Uh-huh.
They're making comments about hating women. So this is like the norm in that server, constant racist jokes. I spoke to a couple of the black guys, like low-key separately about it. And their feelings were, they just sit silent when these guys are making these rape jokes, these racist jokes.
Do you think that like
They're at the
wouldn't it be better to just report these servers to like Discord rather than to like start doxing people over not being publicly like outspoken enough?
Discord won't even put in their TOS, right, that they don't tolerate sexism, sexual coercion, racism, and homophobia. I have done so many FBI and trust and safety reports over the past 6 months, looped them in together and sent
Okay,
them
wait,
to
real quick.
trust and
So
safety, right?
just to be super clear on that, because I used to be a Discord partner. So do not organize, promote, or coordinate servers around hate speech. It's unacceptable to attack a person or a community based on attributes such as their race, ethnicity, national origin, sex, gender, sexual. Like this is literally in the Discord TOS. Like that's simply not true, right?
But what about the sexual coercion side of things? What about the sexual coercion culture? When I arrived in that Discord, there was not only the hate speech against women and the racist speech, but I was also getting like ferried into calls with certain dudes So like
Yeah,
they
but
get
like, so
very
earlier you said that
strategic
you
with
were in a.
this.
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with somebody hitting on you in a server. Earlier you said that you could mute people if you don't want to talk to them, right? If somebody was like sexually propositioning you, can't you just mute the person?
But what if it's like most, so I hear your logic, but if it's most of the culture that's doing this, you're muting everyone and then you're leaving gaming. And that's what we've seen happen. Girls going into their own spaces because just muting, we're talking about conformity here, right? Muting the one guy. What happens is you mute the one dude and then you have 5 dudes around him being like, oh, come on, man, come on, Alice, like, unmute my friend. He really wants to be unmuted. Then this need for power and control gets so steep that they'll be like, why do you feel the need to mute people? Don't you think that's controlling? So they gaslight you to the level of you've muted someone. And then all their bros are like, their dude bros are like, come on, unmute him. Why do you have to do this? It's so controlling. You know, you just want to control everyone. And it's like, you're basically, some guys just made like a rape joke at me.
So to be
And now the
clear, I
males,
don't I don't think people are mad because of a need to control you or whatever. So I'm also familiar with why you were banned in Hassan's Discord server, and they said in that server you were like screaming at multiple people in the voice chat and then muting them, and then like the chat was turning into chaos.
no, I was never screaming. See, again, this is where it gets so insidious. I'm usually calm as a Hindu cow, which
So
evokes them screaming at me.
So I'm
And then,
I'm curious if you would
they,
I'm really curious if you would agree to disagree with this because it's possible people are lying. It's totally possible. But
yeah,
so like for
I think it
instance,
is.
so like so one person said that you were threatening to say that you were that room was being misogynistic for not telling the men in the voice channel to let them talk, to let you talk, and that if they didn't, you were going to report all of them to Hasanabi himself, and that you were like DMing
Yeah.
people and everything as well.
Yeah. So what's the problem with that? If guys are like, and I never threatened to report them to Hasanabi. I believe that was like after the fact, after I was already server muted, where I'm like, I come in here and I try to like talk, and then like dudes just like talk over the minority girl all the time. There's even research on this. I think replicated research showing that men interrupt women 33% more than they'll interrupt other dudes. This is like an epidemic of interrupting women. I think like, what's his name? Tim Cook even held a seminar on this because he saw the research. And he had like 9 of his board members who happened to be women with him at the seminar. And he's holding a seminar on this research and how men tend to interrupt women 33% more than they'll interrupt other men. And during the seminar, he coordinated, right? A journalist gets up at the end and says, Tim, I don't know if you're aware of this, but do you realize that you just interrupted your female colleague 33 times throughout the seminar that you've held to address this issue? And he went red in the face and was like, you know what, I probably did. It's a socialized behavior. It's not even conscious, right? And that's where when you start to bring it up, when you start to tell people, hey, this is your that you're socialized to do this, you're not even aware that you're doing it, but it is a problem. People get quite prickly about that, right? But I mean, where else are we going to start? Like, we're at this point, we're in this era where we have to start talking about this stuff. I'll take one for the team. I'll say it how it is. I'll get server muted. I'll get yelled down, whatever. Egos get bruised when I bring up this research. Cool. But yeah, once they server mute me or try to like control freak me, yeah, I'm going to go to Hasanabi, the feminist owner of the server, and be like, yo, just so you know, this whole thing that you go out and do with your streams, trying to bring awareness to, is actually happening in your own server, dude. Like, what's the problem with that? And if you're going to be in a Discord, by the way, where it's okay to drop the N-word and like make rape threats on women, sorry, Destiny, I don't feel much about a guy who enables that, is a leader in the community, is okay with that. I don't feel much about, and by the way, doxing isn't correct because his university was linked to his profile in Discord and it wasn't. So if he's made that information publicly available, that's on him. That's in the TOS, by the way. So if he's going to
Wait,
sit
what's
in this,
in the TOS?
there's like a clause that says if you make your information publicly available, right, like that, we don't take responsibility for that.
Oh,
So
wait, just to
he
be
took
clear,
that risk, right?
just to be clear, just because I'm platform expert, that's absolutely not true. I don't know where you got that information from, but you can keep going.
And regardless, if he's going to be in a server like that where it's totally okay to encourage rape threats and sit in that, and at the same time, among that behavior, argue that sexual harassment and abuse of women isn't a thing while he's sitting in a context.
Yeah, but if he's literally just like part of the Discord, like, do you really think that's fair?
He wasn't part of the Discord. He was yelling in channels at me, right? He was like a ringleader, yelling in channels at me about how this is all, a construct. It's something that I've imagined. It doesn't happen. That I hate all men because I'm bringing up these issues. He accused me of some pretty inflammatory stuff in front of a group of dudes, which then resulted in people pouring into my server, threatening to rape and strangle me in the night. So when you do stuff like this, and I get like cancel culture is like a very controversial subject. When you do stuff like this, there are consequences. And I feel like I don't feel much guilt about that. And I don't think that anything you say will make me feel much guilt about that. Because
so I think just to clear up a couple things. So one, there's a lawnmower in the background.
Hang on, someone's got a whippersnipper. I have to recalibrate this. We're recalibrating. So cancel culture has a place because we find that the system fails us. Like, how many FBI reports, how many trust and safety reports do I have to send to Discord before they start taking real action?
Well, I feel like on Discord, I feel like it's pretty easy to report somebody, and if they're saying these horrible things in chat, like, they will get in trouble. Like, this happens in my Discord. When we see people do that, if they get reported, Discord will ban the accounts.
The culture change. Where's the change? Like, we're still seeing girls huddle in Facebook groups afraid of getting death and rape threats. Like, trust and safety, I don't think they're as effective. I think because perhaps you have a bias because you used to be connected to them so closely, but I don't think they're as effectual as you would like to think they are, dude. I really don't think that, like, nah.
Well, what I'm saying is, like,
we're just not seeing a change in the culture.
I think we've seen a significant change in the culture over the past 10 years. Obviously, we need to see more, but
yes.
I guess my worry for you is that it feels like you have like a pattern of behavior behind you that doesn't quite match your story. That if people were like a little bit more informed about the relationships you'd had and some of these servers that you're saying are filled with these racist, horrible, evil people, they would become a lot more skeptical, I think, about some of your claims.
It's not a pattern of behavior I just have. Go to our praying mantis, right? This is a whole Reddit community of women who are at the end of their tether, who are totally traumatized from this culture, that it's a whole community of women exposing
so like you said, for instance,
online,
you said that you were
right?
banned. Sure, I'm sure that this happens, of course. But like you said, for instance, you were banned from the official Overwatch subreddit?
Yes, the official Overwatch subreddit, because I spoke up about sexual harassment in our Overwatch.
Yeah, who banned you from that?
Then went to the mods. There was two mods. There was the one that I spoke to in the Discord, right? And it was very interesting because this plays into victim blaming, and I'll get on that in a second. In the official Overwatch Discord, I'm in channels, I'm getting all kinds of shit.
How do I attune myself? Please tell me, Cappuccino.
Jokes, girl gamer pee, girl gamer bathwater shit, the usual.
Okay.
And I go to a mod in our Overwatch. And he says to me, that's not okay. I'll come into the channel and keep an eye. But what really happens is, in these male majority, minority female servers, and I've seen this multiple times, they're really coming in to keep an eye on me, right? So the mod comes into the channel, and I kind of just go back to talking or whatever. And then we're all sort of having a discussion, and I think I mentioned like how child sex trafficking is a huge issue in Discord. Like, there's FBI task forces now that are coordinated just to investigate the child sex trafficking like issue that is happening within gaming right now, right? And Discord is being used to groom.
Wait. So real specifically, I'm just asking why were you banned? Wait. Why were you banned from the Overwatch?
Because of that. because of that, because I mentioned that.
So you
And
simply mentioned that, and they
yes.
just banned you from everything.
Yeah, so this is how insidious it gets, and the victim blaming, where it's like, we have to find something wrong with the girl. And like, you've sort of just engaged in that. You've really just played into that in the past 10 minutes. It is so common. We're so socialized to do this. Find something wrong with her. Don't look at the community. Don't turn to the majority male community, where this is starting at the root of the issue, where the sexual abuse and harassment happens. R/slash praying mantis, these girls exposing creeps, that is a reflexive reaction to an issue that existed before these women started coordinating in this way and exposing these guys online. So we can look at them and be like, oh, they're sociopaths, they're cracked, they're cooked, whatever. They wouldn't be fucking doing it in the first place if we hadn't have addressed this at the root cause to begin with. So these mods, they come in, they ban me they're like, what's the first arbitrary thing we can do to get rid of her, right? They ban me from mentioning child sex trafficking and grooming, right? So then I'm like, you fuckers, you're just trying to like keep the community as drama-free as possible. What's the most efficient way to do that? Get rid of the girl. Get rid of the girl who speaks up, right? And says, yo, can you, and I'm not even a power tripper. I'm usually just like, yo, some 17-year-old just spammed me with porn. I don't want him banned.
But I've
but
got,
can you just go chat
I've got
with
like
him?
two different
Wait,
servers saying that like,
I'm almost done. So 2 different servers. You're talking about a server where people sit around saying like, dropping the hard R and making rape threats about women. I think the legitimacy of the people that you're quoting is pretty negligible, their destiny. You've got to think about the people that you're referring to for your like appeal to authority. They're not a good appeal to authority, man. They're people that make rape jokes and drop hard R's in the server all day in front of black people and in front of women. I think the sources you're going to might be a bit corrupted there, bro.
So one of the sources that I'm
like that,
going to, though, are like the moderation from Hassan's Discord, which I don't think generally tolerate that behavior.
That's the Hassanabi guy I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, this conformity is so common. I go in there. There's all these Biden people. There's me. There's these guys, and they're yelling.
To be clear,
they're yelling
there's
about
not
going to
be a lot of Biden people in that server. I don't think that's the type of server that is.
To be clear, I'm just going to tell you actually what happened, regardless of what you want to believe, Destiny.
Okay. Just to be clear, like, my life is interacting with these communities, so I have way more information about them than you do, but keep going.
So in this one channel, there's probably like six Biden supporters and 1 Trump supporter or something, and they're like hype about the election. And there's dudes, they're yelling at each other. And I think like 3 times I just wanted to like try and, as an outsider as well, who is observing what's going on in America right now from Australia, I want to just like make a comment. I think about like 6 times I was just cut off. And so I said straight out, I'm like, guys, like, can we not yell? And can we just, this election, even though I'm Aussie, this election is meaningful for all of us, because what happens next in this election will affect Australia. There is sort of like a ripple out of what will happen. Like, we're talking about a guy who has, 29 women who have come forward with sexual misconduct allegations who might be leading the planet for the next 4 years. This is meaningful for chicks too. So obviously I say that, people are already rustled when I say something like that. But too bad, it's a political discussion and everybody gets a right to speak. So then, of course, the Trump guy is angry. He gets aggressive. He starts swearing at me, calling me a fucking libtard. I'm pretty...
So you think, hold on, so just to be clear, your claim is that all you did was you politely asked people to stop talking over each other, and then people started screaming, calling you a libtard and everything.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was there was a bunch of I think they were mostly Biden dudes, and they were really hyped because they're excited that Biden's about to win, right? And they're kind of like yelling, and that's fine. They're excited. It wasn't in like an aggressive way. That's when I was just like in a space and talking. I waited for a quiet spot, and I just kind of said, hey, like, it would be not your voice, guys' voices are way deeper than mine. Like, and I'm just like, hey, I would like to be able to actually say something about this. This is really meaningful to me too. And I think it's meaningful to a lot of women, especially a lot of women of color right now, with what's her name? Kamala. Like I had no idea who Kamala was until after he won. And like, this is a big deal. Like, this is huge. You see little girls, you know, little girls that are like Latino, black, like wearing T-shirts that say, you know, my vice president looks like me. This is massive. Like, this era is massive, you know? And so I just want to have like a say. And they kind of like took the criticism and I got a chance to speak. But when I had my piece and I said, like, from a female perspective, what this means, this guy got aggressive, right? And he's calling me a fucking libtard. Now, the thing is, I work with aggressive people for a living. I get hit. I go home with bruises daily. Part of my job is emotional neutrality. You don't feed the troll. You don't get mad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't. Like, and they had a point. Like, the hate machine had a point when they were like, don't feed the troll. Because as soon as you react with aggression to aggression, you've lost. And you've fed fuel into the fire. So I don't get aggressive. And I think therein lies the problem. He got aggressive with me, calling me a fucking libtard. No consequence for him.
Well,
right?
is that
Then I'm
is
like,
it should
I'm
it be like
done.
bannable to call somebody? Well,
I'm
hold on.
almost done.
You've been talking for like
Of course,
95%
you're
of the
saying,
time. Yeah. So if somebody just calls
Yeah.
somebody like you're a fucking
course it is.
libtard in a Discord, should that be like punishable?
well, you would think, but who got punished?
Wait.
There was a mod in the call with us.
Why would that be punishable to call somebody a fucking libtard? If it's like a politics server where they probably argue with each other.
Because it was the aggression. It wasn't even so much the words. He was getting like triggy. He was getting triggy and aggro at me. And so when people get like aggressive in their tone and they're yelling and you can see how emotional he's getting, my response isn't to match it. I just don't see the point. Like, I despise aggression. I think it's pretty smooth brain.
Yeah,
so I'm just like,
I'm just curious,
so
like,
I don't,
because it doesn't sound like so. And a lot of these things, you're presenting like a lot of kind of stories that sound like kind of bad, I guess, but nothing that would rise to the level of, say, like reporting that one guy to his university, or nothing to the level of like this guy needs to be banned or moderated against because he called you a fucking libtard.
because I never tried to get him banned. You're not actually letting me tell the story. I never tried to get him banned. You're creating a distorted story based on like your belief system that isn't actually the facts.
Okay.
I didn't try to get him banned. All I said to him was, look, man, if you're going to yell, I'm just going to personally mute you. I can't deal with people yelling at me. As a chick in gaming, when you get it 25 times a day, the cup gets full. You're over it. You just don't want to deal with it anymore. So I'm just like, I'll personally mute you. Feel free to personally mute me too. And I did that, and something weird happened. The mod in the call goes, so this is the problem with knee-jerk empathic responses rather than rational compassion, knee-jerk empathy. The mod who maybe wasn't really paying attention sees a guy that's upset. And then he sees a girl go, just mute me, dude. I'll mute you. It's all G. And he goes, she's just a troll. And then server mutes me. So me trying to be autonomous in Discord, and this happens all the time, right? Trying to be autonomous and just say, look, I'm going to mute you. Feel free to mute me back, dude. And then that guy's like yelling into the mic. He's losing it at that point. Like I said, what's the most efficient thing to do? You see one person's upset, one person's pretty calm as a Hindu cow. Obviously, the person who's calm is probably the troll. That's like their knee-jerk empathic kind of like appraisal of the situation. What they don't realize is that inside, I'm actually like on fire because there's a guy being aggressive with me, yelling at me. I've had it too much in gaming. I'm done with it. The amount of emotional regulation I have to do in these scenarios is on the level, right? So I'm just like, dude, I'm just muting you. Just mute me back, whatever. Do this all the time. The tendency to blame the victim in these situations is like nothing you've ever seen. And we're talking about, I do notice like you're trying to find something fallible about me. And we're talking about a server which resulted in death and strangulation and rape threats of me when we're talking about DIRL, right? We're talking about a server that makes constant racist comments, like constant jokes about raping women. Turn your criticism to that. stop trying to find fallibility in the victim, Destiny. This is a really common response. A psychologist and a linguist has this amazing TED talk where we are so conditioned. He mentions we are so conditioned as a population to do this. You can take a sentence like, John hit Mary, right? John decided to hit Mary. And he breaks it down in this TED talk. It's incredible. And he says that as a culture, we're so conditioned to blame victims. We actually transform that sentence and transform the language from John, subject, chose to hit Mary, object. And we'll switch it around and we'll say like, Mary got hit by John. So now we take the object and put it at the beginning of the sentence. And we try to say, it's almost like subliminally, we're saying like, Mary put herself in a situation where she got hit by John, right? This is embedded, this is interwoven in our cognitive structures. The knee-jerk tendency for humans to do this. Then it goes from there to Mary was battered. Then it goes to Mary is a battered woman. We take John completely out of the equation. We're no longer looking at John's behavior. We're no longer analyzing John's behavior. Right now,
so
I
understand. I understand all the little cognitive things. That's not necessarily like I think relevant to the line of questions. My question is that
how is it not relevant? You've actually engaged in that cognitive bias. A server that makes rape comments about women.
Let's assume logically. Okay, we'll run this down. Let's assume that maybe that might all even be true. That maybe this is a server filled with deplorable people. Just because you've had a bad interaction in that server doesn't necessarily mean it was because of people in that server. If you have a pattern of this type of interactions with a lot of different servers, if you've been banned from multiple communities, and then if people that I kind of trust to report to me moderation-related things are making similar complaints about you, at what point are you worried that you might be engaging actually like in some toxic pattern of behavior? That it's not just like people being sexist or victim blaming or anything else, but like maybe you're part of the problem.
I mean, I think that's something we like to do a lot when we're talking about something that's so interwoven within the gaming community. This misogyny towards girls. Like I say, I go into Among Us servers. You go in, as soon as a girl speaks, 15-year-old girls are like, shut the fuck up, whore. No one cares. Did I ask? It's so interwoven through the community now. It's become like, it's at the meme level now, that it's just something everyone's conforming to. I think a better question is, however I react after the abuse, whether I do like write a letter to someone's university, whether I do an FBI complaint or a trust and safety or whatever, why don't we turn our attention to the culture that's causing so you're saying like, hey, maybe it's you, but the evidence just doesn't support that, Destiny. Like we're seeing like 200,000 girls in Overwatch mute themselves in video games who are scared to speak. You're seeing r/girl gamers post constantly about this abuse. The backlash for, getting what would you call it? Coming back with a bit of anger, coming back with a bit of like poetic justice.
Yeah, so wait, real quick. So here's like
huge.
here's like a bit of psychology, I guess, that I'll engage in for a second. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but every time I kind of talk to you about a particular behavior that you seem to exhibit, in order to shield yourself from any of that criticism or to deflect the questioning related to it, it seems like you keep appealing broadly to broad groups or broad behaviors rather than ever like explicitly being held accountable for or answering to any of the behaviors that I've kind of listed out. So,
because I don't see why I don't understand what the behaviors are that you take issue with.
So
the
for
fact
instance,
that I told a guy mute me.
So for instance, the fact that you would, because there's a guy that doesn't want to just like shut down an entire Discord server or start shouting at every other guy in a Discord server, because this guy is not willing to take that stand, you literally
told him that.
You send an email to his university saying that he's part of a server making rape and death threats and everything. Like that's like a level of, but that's like a level of doxing that if most people heard about that, they would just outright ban you and never let you in any server ever. Probably rightfully so, because it's an incredibly scary person to have on hand.
You think that I'm the scary person, but you don't see how scary their behavior is and what he encourages in the server. The fact that they all sit around in channels while a guy will pull out Tinder messages, streaming private conversations with girls in Tinder, and they all just sit around and laugh at it.
The
That
fact
is
that
a massive violation of privacy.
Sure. So it might
Right?
be, sure. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure if I would consider that to be a mass violation of privacy or not, but even if I did, even if I granted you that, I don't think
How
that a
could
guy...
you not think that that's a massive violation of privacy? They're streaming private
You're firing
conversations
off
with girls
when
in
you're on
Tinder.
Tinder, your profile is publicly accessible and you're firing off messages to strangers that you meet on the application. I'd be...
Not private messages. PMs are private, full stop.
You have no idea if those are private or not. If you're engaging in messages like that on any type of OkCupid or Tinder, you could be talking to a bot, you could be talking to a guy.
There's no
There's no what?
argument.
No, fuck.
What?
God damn it.
Your messaging.
Oh wait, hello?
What? On
Oh wait, wait.
Doing this. Like, there's a lot of sexual behavior that goes on in Tinder, right? This is huge.
Wait, I'm sorry, hold on. The connection lagged for a second. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
So I don't know what you're arguing. It just doesn't seem steeped in reality.
Oh yeah. So
Destiny.
what?
Like,
sure.
this
So what I'm saying. What I'm
Tinder
saying.
messages,
What I'm saying. So first of all,
right?
you'd be a fool to assume that anything you send on Tinder is private. I would caution everybody against that. Firstly.
You're so pandering to the masculine culture of toxicity.
No,
you
I'm just.
Don't
These are
even
just.
see it about yourself.
No. So these
don't
are.
You see what you're doing?
No.
Look
So
at yourself, man.
To be super.
Look what you're doing.
To be super clear, okay, I'm not. This has nothing to do with masculine or feminine. That's just a rule that I would have for everybody. When you're messaging strangers online, I would never assume that those messages are private. That would be an incredibly silly thing to do.
You're putting the burden on girls. What you're doing right now is putting the burden on girl victims, and we see this all the time.
Do you think that if a girl is meeting a guy for the first time on Tinder, do you think that she should give like an address and a phone number to a friend before she goes out to meet the guy?
I do that. Yeah, I do that all the time.
Do you think that's placing the burden on the victim to suggest people do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Well, maybe
we're
not gonna agree on that then. Okay, that's fine. That's okay.
Let me respond.
No, I don't think this part is relevant. So let's assume.
I get a chance to respond. No.
This just isn't really a relevant part of the conversation.
Yes, it is irrelevant because you brought it up. So let's go with it. Yes. If we're creating a culture to begin with, where rape threats are the norm, where it's a fucking meme to make rape jokes, where it's a meme to talk about beating women, where it's a meme to drop the N-word in Discords right in front of black people all day. Yes, the burden is then going on the victim unfairly. The person's in trauma, right? Stop analyzing and critiquing the victim. Turn your critique to the fucking problem, Destiny. Have the courage to do that, man.
You know that you can simultaneously.
I'm almost done.
Do you understand?
I swear to God, Destiny, I'm almost done my sentence. I swear to God, you've 10 more seconds, man. I swear. Right? And yes, the fact that women are at a point where we have to give out addresses and shit, and I've taken like photos of number plates and stuff of dudes' cars I get in. The fact that like rape culture is so pervasive at this point that we're doing that, yes. The burden is on the victim.
You know that you can simultaneously recommend ways to keep yourself safe while also criticizing people that partake in predatory behavior as well.
Of course.
Okay, cool. That's all I'm saying. So that's great. Then all I'm saying. So returning back to the original thing that I said, then,
but it's still
if you're
a burden.
sending,
it's still a burden.
That's fine. Well, life is a burden. Life is a burden sometimes. I shouldn't have to worry about drunk drivers. But it is a burden that I have. Excuse me. Excuse me. It is a burden that I have. Don't assume that I don't. Okay. So that is a burden that I have. And secondly, we can still say that people need to keep themselves safe, even while condemning people that are acting predatory as well. Okay? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Okay?
Of course, but the problem is, like, we play these video games all day with heroes in them, right? Like, that's our culture. We're spamming League. We're spamming Overwatch. We want to be heroes, Cyberpunk, whatever. Fallout. We're playing heroes all day, man. No one wants to
Sure.
be a fucking
I'm
hero.
not. Yeah, sure.
No one wants to do it.
I'm not. Okay, so this is very far on the side. Okay, so way back to the original Tinder point. Okay, the problem that I have is that you seem to think that a person who's merely inside of a server where these negative behaviors may be happening, that person should be reported to their university for not like.
He's part of it. He's part of
But
the culture
he wasn't the one.
channel.
He wasn't the one spamming any of those messages, though.
But you're not understanding how group dynamics, particularly
I
masculine
totally
group
understand
dynamics
how group
work.
dynamics
No,
work.
You don't.
Yes, I do.
No,
1,000,000%.
If you're in it, you're a part of it. If you're arguing against a girl, telling her that she's a feminazi and that she hates all men, and then
He never said either of those things, though.
Well, you weren't there.
But I have the logs. I've seen all of the logs. Really, I don't have to believe anybody because I don't believe anybody. I just ask for logs. Sure, and people have recordings of it as well. You seem like the kind of person that would make recordings of these types of things going on too. So if you had them, I'm pretty sure you would have shared them by now.
I've never actually recorded people.
Well, you should start doing that. I highly recommend doing that. There's another burden that I will place upon you is to record people when you go into.
Oh well, thanks for an extra burden.
No problem.
How about you come into some servers with me and we'll record some shit together.
Yeah, if you ever want to, you can shoot me. Listen, you can shoot me.
You come see how it is.
Listen,
cool. You can teach me how to play League. Nice.
If you want to. Okay, firstly, you need to hold on. We need to calm down. Okay. You're talking to somebody that has received more harassment than 99% of any person that will ever exist on the internet. Okay, so calm down. Don't act like I have no idea what any of this is like. This is why I record all of my conversations. Okay. I
empathize with that. I do.
Okay, I don't need you to empathize. I just don't make assumptions about my experience. Okay.
I'm not trying to empathize because I think you need it. I just am empathizing because I'm not a piece of shit. But like Sweet Alinity is a person who literally has someone following her around with a knife. I think her name's Sweet Alinity.
Her name is Sweet Anita. I'm very aware. I'm very aware of this. I was literally in her video, and we've had on-stream and off-stream discussions related to this. I'm very aware of this person. I'm very aware of what they go through as well. So I understand that.
Like,
however, none of that has anything to do.
And he's one of your fans, right?
Wait, what? The knife stalker person?
No. IDRL, the guy we're talking about, that you're really trying to fine comb. Yeah, you're really trying to fine comb this shit, and I can see that you're doing it. We're talking about, like, again, totally toxic, racism, sexism abound in his server. He's one of your followers, and I hear that he's sort of a friend of yours. So I can see why there's this level of defensiveness of finding out that these guys are total chuds.
I'm not
total deplorable chuds.
I don't know what chud means in this instance. I don't know if this is a capitalist insult
I think it's like cannibalist, humanistic underground dweller.
Oh, I didn't actually know that stood for anything, but okay. So I'm not. So firstly, I'm not even defending Darius, okay, because I don't know what he does, but I am more familiar with the person you reported to their university. All I'm saying is that somebody merely existing in a server. So by what you said to me, you could have taken the information of every single guy in that server and sent those same letters to their university, just per being in that server.
True, but I did stop after him. I thought I'd made an example after him. And I was like, nah.
You understand that when you say something like that sounds like insane, right?
Okay, but that's your perspective of someone who may not have gotten like 10... Whoa. Insane is like, again, normal. What is normal? Normal is relative. We don't even like the word insane.
No, we could. Normal is relative. Hold on. Normal is relative.
Let's go to our praying mantis.
Normal. I can't go to that. I can't go to that subreddit because it's hidden, private. Okay. Normal is relative to the societal norms at the time.
Is it really private?
It is. So normal is relative to the societal norms at the time. Okay. I would say that generally, if you're going to start firing off emails to somebody's university just because they're in a Discord server where there may be objectionable behavior going on, that seems to be a pretty...
But the things that I'm telling you he did, you won't even believe anyway. So the conversation's just going to keep looping because he was in channel with me, yelling at me, like
calling
arguing
you, like,
against this,
wait,
setting
just
an example.
somebody arguing with you is not a valid reason to email their dean to try to get them kicked out of university.
Gaslighting me in a server
How do you know
right?
he's
In a
gaslighting and
server where
he just doesn't disagree with your perspective? I don't think he's
in
gaslighting you.
a server where there's also been, rumor has it, shit happening to minors in this server as well. So it's like you've got to think about the culture
I'm
they're
aware of the
embedded
culture.
in,
I'm not aware of
right?
any of those claims ever being substantiated before. It feels like what you've done.
Well, I guess there's no proof. I guess there's no proof, so it didn't happen. I guess, teenage girls don't get coerced in Discord. It's totally my imagination.
No, this
I'm
stuff
a fucking crazy
absolutely
bitch,
happens.
Destiny.
Well, that
I
my
am a
my
crazy
so
bitch.
the problem that I have is that I think you probably are, firstly, and then more importantly, I think that people like you kind of hurt the cause. It's very hard to talk about these issues when people that put themselves at the forefront of it are people like you that are going to literally dox and get people kicked out of school for being in a server with people that you don't like. That seems to be like
It's not
really
about
far
not
over
liking.
the line.
It's about rape and death threats.
You didn't. Okay, here's the problem. You keep saying you got all these threats. You didn't report a single rape threat to anybody on Discord or any of these moderators.
I did a full FBI complaint with the guy's full name.
Why would you
of their names.
Why would you all of their names? How many people are making rape threats in this server? You didn't think to report a
Because
single one to Discord.
We didn't know who it was who came into my Discord sending these strangulation and rape and death threat videos. We don't know who it was involved. Wait. Accounts.
Then you don't even know if it was somebody from this server.
But then it doesn't. But he's a ringleader in there, enabling this culture and creating it.
It's not about who,
right.
No. You don't know that. What I'm saying, listen.
It is
listen,
about that.
You've literally talked about going to every major Discord server and getting them reported and banned. So like you clearly are aware. And
that's not what I said. I think you're taking information out of context. That's not what I said.
I'm 99% sure, yes, that you've literally even talked about getting my own fiance server reported on Discord because of things that people say in there.
I don't know who your fiance is.
It's Melina, the streamer. I know you've said this because I've seen logs of this. Okay, I know you've said this. I don't know why you're denying
Which
it.
server?
I don't know. I don't know what Melina's Discord server is called.
You don't know what your fiance's server is.
I hate Discord because people like you make it a horrible place to exist in. So yes, I do not know what her server is. I don't interact with Discord servers.
The people like me who speak up about the sexual harassment and racism are totally the problem, Destiny. That's the problem. I'm the problem. The people who speak up, the people who expose, the people who bring light to this, we're the problem. What we need to do is be more silent and use a system that doesn't work. Use trust and safety and ineffective
But these systems, Discord's ban system does work. If you should try it sometimes. You should try reporting somebody through Discord and see what happens because they get banned. It happens all the time. But it seems like you're not even willing to even try these official channels that exist. You just want to go full nuclear and start doxing people.
I could send you folders of trust and safety reports, folders of trust and safety, folders of FBI reports, folders of FBI reports on these bullying cultures. Because when this bullying starts,
why are we talking about FBI reports?
Because I'm about to tell you why, if you allow me to, Destiny. So these bullying cultures where these guys shout down at girls, they cut them off, they silence them, they server mute them. They create a microcosm of bullying, which makes these girls and women more vulnerable to predation. I have seen it multiple times. And this is tricky because how do you explain that all of our hands are kind of dirty in this? The guy who's yelling at me saying sexual harassment of girls isn't a thing and that I just hate all men and I hate him and saying this inflammatory stuff in front of 20 dudes and how he's complicit, right? All of our hands are dirty in this. The more we gaslight the chicks and say it's not a thing. I'm almost done. I swear to God, I'm almost done.
You're saying the same stuff that you already said.
The more we gaslight, the more we realize all of our hands are dirty. So then I go to the FBI and I'm so now I'm seeing a flow down effect of this, right? I'm seeing girls becoming traumatized. I'm seeing girls becoming silenced. They're self-muting. They don't have a voice. And then you're hearing about how their nudes are getting shared around servers. Revenge porn is huge in Discord right now.
We're running around a huge circle that's not relevant to the conversation. Okay.
Cool. I really like circles. I think they're pretty.
Okay.
So So like we're just seeing that this is a thing that's actually having severe
Okay, but
psychosocial impacts.
here's my okay, wait,
Cyber
we
sexual
don't need all the
impacts.
okay, you don't
Why
need
do
all the
you get to decide what we need to talk about? Like why?
well
Why do you have this level of control over
well
the
one
narrative?
because this is my channel, so I have to make sure that the message that I platform is responsible.
Cool.
Okay.
Then I'll start my own channel and I'll start my own narrative and I'll tell the narrative without having to control it as much as you so defensively need to, Destiny.
Okay. I really like that you say my name at the end of your sentences to like exert control over the conversation. That's very cute. I'm aware of that tactic.
Like that
Thank you for doing
name
it.
is Destiny,
Okay. Number
and
one.
I like that
No, it's cute. It's cute. Okay.
I think
but
it's great.
my
It's
so
great.
okay, so okay, I'm giving you an opportunity to speak to a really large platform you wouldn't have otherwise. Okay. So I think that it's
How
okay.
many people are listening right now? I've never asked that.
Probably around 10,000. Okay.
10,000 people are listening to this conversation.
Yep. So I think it's okay if I want to push back a little bit or control the flow of the conversation. I don't think that's unreasonable for me to request, given that I'm allowing you the opportunity to have the conversation here. I think that's okay.
I feel so you're so magnanimous. But
I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When your name came up in my Google Calendar and it said meeting with Destiny, I felt like I was starting a quest. It was very surreal.
Well, you know, I'm honored. You know, there's a lot of questing that goes on in my part of the internet.
Well, you're magnanimous. You're magnanimous, and now you're honored, Destiny. I'm glad that I've given you that today.
You know, I'm nothing if not honest. Okay, so my server alone. We ban people when we see people that are sexist, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, or any of that stuff. Okay, in my server alone, there are over 7,000 accounts that were registered here that are now deleted from Discord. Like these are users that have been banned from Discord. Like 7,094 accounts come up as like delete. Yeah. So if you actually report
Can I correct you on something though? Can I just please?
I don't know what you could possibly correct me on that.
I didn't say I got servers. I actually have told servers that if they don't start regulating their shit, I am reporting them to trust and safety. That's my fucking prerogative. I'm going to do that. But what I did say was I get banned usually for going to a mod and saying like, hey, I'm getting spammed porn. Hey, this guy's asking me for nudes. Hey, I'm getting called a MILF. Hey,
sure,
I'm
that's
getting
not my problem.
jokes.
My problem isn't with you reporting those people. My problem is that you're drawing in everybody associated with it. So, for instance, like you've also talked about
because we are
no. You've talked about reporting. You've talked about reporting every single partnered streamer in a server to Twitch just because they exist in a Discord server that they might never even chat in.
These were the people who were in the channels that were active and
laughing at
rape jokes.
Not all the time.
Yes.
That is not true. You are lying right now, okay?
Show me the evidence of where I've said I'm going to report every single person in a server. Show me that evidence. Because it's usually...
So here's a message that you drafted that you said that you were going to send to Twitch for every partnered server in that Discord. You said, Ellie is in a server that streams in hers and others' Twitches frequently. I'm a female gamer, was invited here. Since joining the server, I've had to endure bullying, blah, blah, blah. You even go on to say that there's like unsubstantiated rumors of minors, of underage abuse.
Yes.
Why would you fire reports like this? Wait, you're firing reports like this off to Twitch for streamers that don't even talk in these servers.
What Ellie was actually in the channel, by the way, for a lot of this shit and laughed at, I think it was like a gay dude made a joke about raping me. And she was in channel when he did that, they all laughed.
Sure, but Melina, so, like, I don't think Melina even talks in these servers, and you've talked about reporting her Twitch channel because she's in the server.
I think I messaged Melina in Twitch talking to her about, are you aware of what goes on in this Discord that you're in? But I would have to check my records. And regardless, this all happened in the same hour that was 3 a.m, and I was getting videos sent into my Discord by people from there, like about raping and strangling me. And I thought I could even hear people outside my apartment. I was getting up, locking the door. So I had an emotional reaction. I sent messages. Did I act on them? No. I acted on one person who was a major player in this, who incited a lot of this against me in the voice channels, you know, making like crazy, like these crazy targeted accusations that I hate all men, that I'm this, that I'm that, which got everyone riled up, resulting in a few minutes later, like within this, no, it wasn't a few minutes, it was within the same day, me getting these rape and death threats. So
have you reported any of those accounts to Discord?
No.
Why not?
I've reported. You mean the people who, like, Melina and that? No.
No.
I didn't do anything to them.
The people sending you rape and death threats.
I think I reported them to the FBI, not to Discord.
Why not report them?
Because I've lost faith in Discord. We're talking
But wait,
about,
you can't lose faith in something you've never even tried before. And I think even the moderation in these servers, I'm not making false claims. I
have folders.
Show us some. You have folders. Yeah, show us some. I'm curious. Can you show me?
I'll link them to you later.
No. Wait. Right now, can you just show me one? I don't want an FBI report. The FBI is not going to do anything for this. Okay.
Dude, I just left a Trek marathon with my friends. Like I said, I'm heading downtown to a Korean gaming cafe to play some Overwatch. Don't really have access to my folders right now. I'll happily send you all of my trust and safety and FBI complaints.
Okay, I don't need FBI complaints because those will never be followed up on. I'm not interested in FBI.
We're talking about Discord. You got to think about what Discord is, right? Like, one of the board members of Discord made public tweets like allowing and encouraging the use of furry cub porn being disseminated among Discord like servers. He advocated for that. He was like, yo, furry cub porn, okay with me. You guys can have that. So, like, you've got to think, this is like a leader in Discord publicly saying he's okay with lolly content. You've got to wonder who these people are that are regulating this platform. You know what I mean? And that's recorded. He was on Twitter, like, saying that kind of stuff. There's articles about this, like, WTF, what is this guy on? That he's basically, like, marketing lolly porn to say, like, yeah, you guys have lolly porn. That's my gift to you. Send it to each other by all means, right? Furry cub porn. So, like, when you take that into account, it's like, you know, and then there's been instances where I've copped it in a server with sexual harassment, complained to trust and safety, and then they do this mob mentality shit where they spam trust and safety reports on me. Power in numbers. I'm the one that gets the warning from Discord after being sexually harassed. It's a broken system, Destiny. It's broken.
Then why are over 7,000 accounts in my Discord banned?
Because you aren't trust and safety.
No. These are accounts that are not only just banned from my server. These are deleted accounts on Discord. These accounts have been removed from Discord.
Would you say that you could you have more social power though as a streamer? So if trust and safety get a report from you, you have a level of social power that maybe
First of
I
all,
don't have.
one, no, because nobody in the internet likes me. Okay, and two. No, because my server's not even partnered anymore. And three, wait!
So hard
three,
to believe,
could you
Destiny.
hold on?
No one likes you?
Okay. I understand that you've reached out to me. I know you have no idea who I am, which you made painfully obvious in this conversation, which is fine, okay? But three, I don't personally ban any of these accounts. These are just my moderators doing it, okay? It's not like I'm personally like ushering these bans through trust and safety.
But you're ignoring mob mentality. You're ignoring
stop. You just pivoted. You're pivoting to a completely unrelated topic.
For example,
here we go. We're just chewing on down the tracks. All right.
So Darius's server, right? This is like you're saying like I entertain that it might be deplorable people in here. So we're at least at the point where you're like entertaining this possibility. But you've got to think, like, these guys, they do this shit and then they egg everyone on to be like, let's do trust and safety complaints about her. Like, let's get into it. Let's all spam trust and safety and get her banned for speaking up about this shit. I don't think you realize, like, you're just seeing it as being like reaction, action, reaction, action. It's way more insidious than this. It's way more manipulative. It's like this narcissistic level of like control and getting these people silenced. Like, it's like even recently a guy I had a fling with disseminated my nudes, and it was one nude. It was just one. And he and that gets uploaded to Pornhub. And then the next minute, I'm getting a threat from his little, like, army of chud incels or whatever, saying, get off Discord, stop talking about feminism, stop speaking up about this stuff, or the photograph gets circulated more. So I think you're taking for granted how like methodical these guys get. And you've got to think they're gamers. We strategize 10 hours a day in video games. What makes you think that we don't start to play humans like video games too? Don't like underestimate that, Destiny. You have no idea how smart and methodical these people get in their gaslighting, and their their MO is to turn the victim into the aggressor. And they're very, very good at it. You have no idea.
Are you familiar with a concept called Darvo?
No, but I want to hear about it.
I don't actually remember what it stands for, but it's like it's a way to deflect a claim and then claim that the other person is the abuser, and then you victimize yourself.
Yes.
It's like this kind of pattern behavior. So just personally, I'm curious because I've now seen this with at least 2 different people, where I'm curious for just these are just like personal. I'm just curious. Do you ever worry sometimes that you have equipped yourself with some tools from your psychological studies that you've used to like diffuse or shift all blame or accountability from your own actions onto some other like psych term or concept? Do you ever worry that that might happen to you?
So you're saying, like, do I use terms like gaslighting, narcissistic subcultures as like tools to displace blame from myself?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I don't deny that I haven't in an emotional situation where I've just gotten a rape and death threat, and I'm having a PTSD response. I don't deny that my responses may have been extreme in some circumstances. But what I'm trying to say is put a girl in a culture like this for long enough, right? That a culture is so pervasively misogynistic, where rape threats are a meme. Put a girl in a culture like this for long enough, Destiny, what the fuck do you expect? Let's fix the culture.
So
Let's stop trying to find...
Yeah, sure. I understand. We should fix
Do you
culture.
see what I'm arguing?
Of course, I understand. I'm curious. So if you feel like you have these types of I'm going to say triggered. I don't mean that offensively, but like literally like PTSD level responses to these sort of like traumatic interactions. If you feel like there's something you have, why do you choose to engage with them in such like an aggressive manner over and over and over again? If you feel like you might be prone.
What I started off doing the trusted safety route. Then I started doing the FBI route. Then it got to the point where there's a nude of me on Pornhub and I'm getting rape and strangulation threats.
Okay,
I'm answering. The answer of the question will be at the end. I swear to God.
Okay.
Right? And that's when I took a step back and I'm like, I can't go to their level. Like, I can't do this. That's what prompted me to reach out to you, because I'm seeing that, yes, there's a lot of controversy around cancel culture and exposing culture, but I've learned through experience. I'm just a computer and I'm learning through experience that this also isn't the solution. So what's the solution? There is a culture. It's fucking problematic. I come to you. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that people try to coerce me to look at their dick through contract negotiations for jobs. The fact that someone will put porn up of me on Pornhub, non-consensually.
Well, so I'm curious. So that the person for instance, yeah. So like for that particular thing,
to get me to
yeah.
withdraw.
So wait. So for that particular instance, for instance, did you ever report that person publicly? Like, have you ever made them known or published?
Yes. So I and this is where it gets really slippery. I went to LinkedIn, I messaged a huge amount of actors within gaming, like leadership in gaming, right? This guy terrifies me. He has more money than me. I'm poor as fuck. He's talking about getting a lawyer. He's saying there's no proof. This is what these dudes do. They intimidate. I go to like leaders within the gaming community, esports investors, directors, devs, and I start this massive LinkedIn conversation with all of them. And dude, you know what happens? I start to say like, this is the shit I'm going through. Hang on, there's a train. This is the shit I'm going through in gaming. What are you doing at the leadership level? Because I'm worried I'm becoming toxic as a reflexive response. We've got r/praying mantis girls exposing dudes left and right all over the internet. Instead of like this vigilantism forming within our culture, what are you guys gonna fucking do to change the culture? You're the leaders. You're the guys on 200,000 plus a year creating this culture. You're the trailblazers of the culture. Literally, like,
Okay, can
everyone
I?
but
Yeah,
one.
sure. Okay,
Listen,
wait,
listen,
wait.
listen. I'm
No, no, no.
almost
Wait.
done. Literally,
I,
listen, dude. Every single one of these leaders drop out of the call. They just drop out of the conversation. The one that's left is this girl who runs an organization called Fem Gaming. The one woman stays. None of these dudes want to have this conversation, man. It's a conversation people don't want to have, right? One chick remains. She wants to make me an ambassador for like this organization, this all female esports organization, right? Like, I see all of these industry leaders just dropping out of this. And it's not about exposing him. It's not about like a Salem witch hunt, because I don't even think that these guys are at fault. The culture has conditioned them
okay.
this way,
So you're
right?
okay. Wait, wait. I just want to make you.
in
I
the
just want to make you.
training,
I just want to make you aware real quick of a behavior, because I don't know if you're conscious that this is what's happening. So every time I ask you a personal question, you always manage to broaden it out to this like kind of spiel you have about toxicity.
answer the question directly. Did you report this guy? And
When I see this type of
directly.
behavior, I report people all the time. Oh, you're saying for me asking? Oh yeah, no. I was just curious if you'd like made
The
this
direct answer to your question.
Well, I don't need all of this gaming culture and everybody is conditioned, blah blah blah. Like that's not relevant to me. I'm just trying to have like a personal, like one-on-one. Just ask a question and get an answer. Yeah. Okay.
I brought it up with people within his LinkedIn community, saying like, yo, this is what this guy is doing to young girls, to women. He's trying to recruit. He's using his brand as a front to just sexually coerce girls. All these industry leaders just drop out of the chat. Like, so-and-so has left the conversation. I can't even remember.
Do you have like any screenshots or anything related to
Yeah,
like any of them?
I will send you everything. Everything. And then I even become a bit of a smartass. I'm just like, wow, look at this. Girls want to talk about what's happening to them at the grassroots in gaming. Everyone leaves the conversation but the girl. And then I screenshot that and send it to all of them. And then, I get a couple of responses. They're like, oh, we just don't want to talk about it within a public chat. Like, it's just like, come on, man. Like, stop making excuses. Let's just start talking about it. Come on. And then she ends up reaching out to me and she's like, I want you to write about your experiences. I'm publishing them on Fem Gaming because people need to hear about this stuff. So you're right. I don't deny that, like, after 4 years in PC gaming of this shit that's happened consistently, I probably have some post-trauma. You can call that crazy destiny. I would call it a very human response to what I've experienced, and a very valid response and a very normalized response that at this point, it's not just me, dude. We're seeing girls everywhere get to this level of anger. Women in gaming are angry, Destiny. They're pissed. They're really pissed. And so I guess like the natural evolution of that is we're going to see exposures. We're going to see cancel culture. We're going to see some crazy shit happen over the next 10 years. I don't think I'm going to be the first, Destiny. I don't think I was the first, right? Like, we are trying to shine light on this culture. Me Too movement journalists who covered like the Me Too movement in Hollywood are trying to reach out to girls in gaming. Girl gamers at the high level and the low level are suspiciously silent about this stuff. They don't want to talk about it. They are scared. Why are they scared? Look at what happens to me. I get my IP address traced. I get my own address sent to me. I'm on Pornhub. I have to get myself taken off Pornhub. Like, there is a reason why girls are not engaging in this dialogue. And there's also a reason why the male leaders are not engaging in the dialogue, because they know this culture exists. They know they created it. Look at like Twitch culture. There's articles about the racism and sexism that occur and homophobia, even within their corporate environment, right? Like, they all know it's everywhere. They might even think, I've probably like been a part of this at some point. What has to happen is, if we've been a part of it or not, if our hands are dirty or not, who gives a shit? If we've all been a part of something, let's swallow some concrete, harden the fuck up, and all talk about it. And it's not about getting people in trouble. It's not about putting people in jail. It's a culture that we're all socialized in, that we're all a part of. And many of us have made mistakes. But that doesn't change the fact that instead of zeroing in on my character, I want to talk about the culture that created me to begin with. I want to talk about the culture that creates a 17-year-old guy that thinks it's okay to tell a girl he wants to rape her. I want to talk about that, you know? Let's talk about what's forming this. I'm just squiggles. I'm going to be dead in 40 years. I'm irrelevant, right? I'm one actor in a machine. Let's talk about the machine.
Wow.
Let's talk about why this is happening to begin with. Why is it so acceptable? Why was white supremacy radicalized in Discord? And a lot of these, Discord is known for white supremacy. Why is misogyny culture all over Discord? Why are there FBI task forces investigating child grooming and revenge porn?
I understand that. Okay. Let me try this. Wait, I just have a question.
Dude.
What? Okay, you said you play Overwatch, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your what role do you play?
Tank.
What champion is that? Is that the guy with the big hammer?
The ones with the shields. All of the shield bros.
Okay. So like Winston and the guy with the... I don't remember the name of the guy with the hammer. It's a category, not a hero. Oh, sorry. I don't know what the fuck they're called. Reinhardt, that one. You play those kinds of people, right?
The Protect. Yeah, the Protectors.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe I probably got a bit conditioned by Overwatch 2, to be honest. Like, maybe that's gotten into my mentals.
Wait, sure. Yeah, okay. I'm just asking like a one...
I have
Sure.
tank complex up in here.
What, how long have you been playing Overwatch for?
Probably like 3-4 years.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I was just saying if you could answer just like normal questions, okay? You can answer normal questions. All right. I think in the future...
Wow, that's not condescending at all.
I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just curious if you can like have like a normal, like just a normal conversation thing, okay? I think that going forward, I think it would be a really cool idea if when you saw these types of toxic behaviors, you actually reported them up the appropriate channels. One of the biggest complaints that a lot of people that work social media and other avenues have is that a lot of these behaviors just aren't reported in the first place. So it's hard for them to act on them. So I think that reporting stuff, I think all of us can do a better job at that, at not only calling people out when we see it, but also reporting things like that when we see it. And I think going through appropriate channels for that, I think hopefully will make at least Discord servers a slightly better place. Do you think that's like an okay place to start?
Well, it is something that I have been doing for years, in which I can send you, again, the folders on. But you also have to understand, like, I'm a singular perspective. I don't have the macro perspective on the culture. I have the micro.
Sure.
And so you're going through repeated trauma year after year. You're not seeing a change. Like, I'm 15 years old, right? Like 15 plus years ago, I'm in like EB Games. I think you guys call them GameStop over there. And you go in, you try to buy your Prince of Persia box set or your God of War box set. I remember, like, I'm like 16 and the 18-year-old guy looks me up and down like, you play video games? You. And I was like, yeah. And then like, I remember thinking when I'm 16 years old, in 10 years, it's going to be fucking different. It's going to be different. I know it is. It's going to be baller. Like, people are just going to be people. There'll be 50% chicks. We'll all just be having like regular conversations. It won't be about constant sexualization. I know it. I hold out for 10 more years. It doesn't get better. It gets worse.
It absolutely has not gotten worse.
It has, dude. We've got
way better than it has been.
Come on. Nah. In the time of console gaming, we didn't have massive clients like Discord in which we could have revenge porn epidemics. That was not something we had when we're sitting in front of our Xboxes and PlayStations fucking 15 years ago.
Revenge porn is a relatively new phenomenon, but that's because we couldn't even take nude pictures of ourselves 15 years ago, okay? Let alone have revenge porn, all right? We didn't even have the technology for it. You had to get a fucking Polaroid out if you wanted to do shit like that, okay? So that's...
People have gotten worse.
No. Yeah, sure. Some technologies have gotten worse, but I think people in general... I'm saying
that the use of like Black Mirror, the use of technology and the way we utilize it has made us worse. Like, I'm not here to say like humans are evil or good or whatever. I'm not religious. I'm saying like our interaction with technology has exacerbated this situation.
I
So before
understand
on
that technology has
Xbox,
made some problems appear that weren't there before, but overwhelmingly, communities have gotten better in terms of women and LGBTQ representation on Discord servers and other things
that's true.
than it
I
was.
will give you that. That is so. It's more multifaceted, right? There's the good and the bad. I will give you that, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna sit here and go like, okay, but cool, this is happening. I like that. There's LGBTQ servers now. I vibe with that. I'm still gonna point out the shit that's not cool, like because that's human progression. That's how
Yeah,
we
of
socially
course, that's
evolve.
great, and we can all do that. But I don't think we have to do that while pretending that things are as bad as they ever have been, or like are the worst things possible, or are absolutely horrible. Like, I think it's
Hey
okay to
man, when
be.
I go into these, come into these servers with me with these kids, these 15-year-olds, and listen to the shit that comes out of some of these kids' mouths towards like 13-year-old girls in some of these channels.
Sure.
I'm
So
in
I
this
like you.
massive server,
I
this massive
understand.
server called Edgy,
Sure. So just
and
hold on real quick. Just so you know, okay. You keep asking me these questions like I don't know about these experiences. Okay, I've lived and breathed the internet for the past like 20 years of my life. Okay, I'm very aware of the experiences that exist and the multitude of different horrible experiences people can have online. I'm aware of that. I don't need to go into a channel with
just
you to
say
see
that it's gotten better and it's gotten worse because
because
now we have child sex trafficking. Now we have
I
revenge
have
porn.
really,
Now
really,
we have
really,
these
really,
things.
really bad news for you. Okay. Pretty sure Muhammad fucked 14-year-olds. Child sex trafficking has always been a thing. It didn't start in the 90s or
Yes,
the
but it's not
2000s,
as
okay?
normalized. But it's more normalized now than ever. We've got the Discord board members talking about furry cub porn in Twitter.
I don't.
Like
So whether or not
it's
furry
more
porn is, I
normalized,
don't believe
right?
that child sex trafficking is normalized in any sense of the word on any part of the internet, save for the
These
most
major servers I go into, you see like 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 14-year-old girls come into these channels, and the shit that I see that's just like everyone's just a bystander of. Like
Yeah,
everyone just
that's
sits there and watches
it's
this
a
shit play
sure,
out.
and that's a hard problem, okay? But it's a new problem that's presented to us by technology. I don't think it's like the normalization of sex trafficking. It's just
Fine, I won't use the word worse if it makes you that unhappy, Destiny. I'll just say it is. And I want to talk about it.
it's not about making me happy. I think it's good to recognize where progress has been made so that you can continue to make progress and so that people don't have like the most horrible doomer take outlook on everything related to these issues.
Great, so I'm a doomer.
A little bit, yeah. You don't think so?
Probably. But then what, again, like tap into some compassion. Do you think that I'm the only girl in these communities who has these experiences that is starting to internalize this and go into doomer territory psychologically? Sure, I'm not the only one, Destiny.
Do you,
Like I go into these girl spaces and they're at the end of their tether. And so yeah, we might, it's sort of like a guy can go, oh, but look, we have a female Jedi now in like the new
I
trilogy.
never said
Cool.
that
Yeah, I
everything
get
was
it.
fixed. I never said everything was
I
perfect.
know. Oh my God, I used to have these arguments with exes. It's like a fucking flashback right now. I get that on the macro level, it's like, yeah, but look, we've got Rey, we've got Captain Marvel, we've got this. Cool. We've got that new, like, what is it? That thing that anime with the chick, the airbender chick. Yes, I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm seeing all the cultural changes. It's awesome. But, like, do you see how it still minimizes our pain as chicks in gaming? Like, I get that on the
Do you see
macro
how your
level, we're
perspective is
moving.
minimizing the progress that other women have made?
What about the progress I've made? Do you not think that I've been a massive actor in that advocacy? Do you think that
Probably
I don't
not. Not really. I
appreciate
don't
those
think so.
women?
No.
Wow, that's so minimizing. That is so minimizing. Like, I've been a gamer since I was 8 years old, and I have been talking about this stuff, posting about this stuff, creating dialogues about it for
Talking
like
about it
over
where?
15 years. Everywhere, Facebook. Like I'm pretty much off Facebook now, but like I used to like create these conversations all the time with girls. The dialogue itself is advocacy. When you're engaging with women all the time, creating this dialogue with girls in gaming all the time, that's where the advocacy starts. We're all cogs in a machine. We're all playing a part in the advocacy just by fucking talking about it, just by writing #MeToo and posting that on our Facebook. We're a part of it. It's a community effort. There's not like it's not these special kind of like snowflakey people that happen to be super relevant that are making the change. The Me Too hashtag began with a woman of like a black woman from the Bronx who started this dialogue among her own community. We forgot about her, and then suddenly like Ashley Judd and these like big name actors are like, hey, yo, Me Too. It becomes a phenomenon. But then we do some digging and realize this started like years ago from this black woman in the Bronx. Like, this is the source of it. She ends up getting to do the Time like photo op with all of these, you know, big name actors. Like, it's not just like the people with the following who are making the changes, Destiny. It's all of us engaging in the dialogue every day, day after day. That's where it begins. That's where
Never
the
said
seeds
anything
for
different.
advocacy are planted.
I,
You just said, I don't think you made much of a difference. Like,
I said, so what I originally said was, I think that you might be minimizing the success that people have had pushing the culture in a positive direction. I mean, you responded
I'm
with,
not.
"Do you
I'm
think I?" No, no,
highly
no. Wait,
respectful of them.
I'm literally just quoting our previous conversation. So I'm going to disagree with you. Okay, and then you responded saying, "Well, don't you think I've been a big part of that?" As an individual person, there aren't very many people that have been a big part of this. This is probably true. It's all I was responding to.
True.
I understand that everybody has their part. Of course, we're all cogs in the social machine.
I remember once on a like bystander effect is particularly upsetting to me. I'm from the Gold Coast, which is like the beach city in Australia, and I was on this bus that was headed into Surfers Paradise, which is the big like tourist point. It's like the Miami of Australia. And there was this Japanese tourist girl around 19 sitting on a bus, and this big dude gets on the bus and goes up to her and starts like feeling her up, sits down next to her, asking her if she'll be his girlfriend, touching her hair, smelling it, stroking her thigh. I watched 40 people sit on a bus and in hushed whispers exchange concerned glances and stare and do nothing.
Do you think they're raw
Right?
gamers?
And I think that it's bigger than gaming. Gaming's just my first stop. I think it's a lot bigger than gaming, bystander effect. I think it's global. But anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm just watching this play out. And it was funny because that week we had learned about Kitty Genovese and the bystander effect in psych class. And I'm like, I turned to my boyfriend at the time, who was 6'7", massive dude. And I'm like, get up and say something, yo. Like, this is not okay. And you know what's interesting? We're so obsessed with being polite. That's why we become bystanders. He looks at me and he second guesses and he goes, what if they know each other and we're just totally misreading this? And I'm like, fuck, they know each other. Like, look at this. They do not know each other. Look at her body language right now. She was like collapsing into herself. Like her soul was dying. And I go to get up and he grabs me by the hips and kind of like pushes me down into the seat. And I'm just like, nah. I climb over my 6'7" boyfriend, run to the front of the bus and start screaming in this guy's face. He shits himself and runs off the bus. That has always stayed with me. I walk back up the bus. Everyone's silent. No one's making eye contact with me. They're all looking at their shoes. And I sit back down. And this old lady in front of me turns around and says, it's about time someone fucking said something. Look at all the dudes on this. Like, look at all the men on this bus who just sat there silent. And that did something to me. I mean, you could call it a Batman complex if you wanted to be really mean about it. But bystander effect is everywhere. And it's not okay anymore. And I think that bystanders... I spoke to a police officer recently about this because I heard a woman getting beaten across the road from the apartment I live in. And I walked out the front. I heard something that sounded like a cat meowing. And I was like, to my roommate, do you hear that? It sounds like there's like a cat in peril somewhere. And she just shrugged and went back to Instagram. And I was like, nah, I'm investigating. So I went into the front yard, realized it's not a cat. It's a woman screaming like bloody murder, getting the shit beaten out of her. There was the elderly people that lived next door in the front yard. And they're looking at the house. They're just standing there staring. And I'm like, do you hear this? And they're like, yeah, this has been going on for 10 minutes. I remember Googling this. I think it takes about, 8 minutes to strangle a human being to death? So they
8 minutes?
stood.
That's a
I don't know.
long
I can't
time.
remember. It's like
Sure.
I don't know.
Somebody will
It's
pass
like
out probably.
7,
Somebody can pass out in anywhere from like 3 to 10 seconds, and then they can
right?
probably have brain damage after about 5 minutes. But yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes, right? They've been standing there for 10 listening to this. It did sound like she was getting choked too.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at them, and the older woman goes, I don't want to listen to this bloody shit. Let's go to lunch. They all get in their car and they drive off to a restaurant to eat their lunch. I pull out my phone. I call the cops. I run across the road and I start banging on windows, saying like, hello, is anyone in there? Are you okay? The noise completely stops. He stops doing whatever he was doing to her. And I wait for the cops to arrive. So like, I see this bystander effect is everywhere. It's not about gaming. My beef isn't with gaming. It's with, like, it's a global issue. Why do we do this? What are the mechanisms behind it? Why do we not want to get involved? Why are we afraid of conflict? People will always say to me, I'm anti-conflict. Why? Conflict is how we get to the next level. It's important. We need it. It's an important part of our social evolution to face shit, right? So no, they weren't gamers. I doubt he could have been a gamer, the one beating his wife. I don't think all 40 people on that bus that day were gamers. They lived on the Gold Coast. They were mostly surfers and club people and older retirees. No, it's not about me like shitting all over gaming culture. I don't think that it got created in gaming culture. I think it got created from the previous generation, if I'm going to be real. Yeah, like there's so much to unpack with that, like with humanity. How do we start being more aware of bystander effect? How do we start becoming more aware of conformity, groupthink, mob mentality, like just going with the majority, even though you know that it's wrong on some like deep level? Why are we still doing this? We thought we learned something from, like, I hate that I'm bringing up World War II, but like that's like a massive like fucking historical example of conformity right there. We're still doing it, but on like a minor level, right? Like, why? What is it about tribe mentality and the human species that makes us sacrifice morality for group membership? And how do we start to attenuate that? How do we start to, I don't know, form something better than what we have?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Welp, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or?
Well, I mean, you want to sort of like, audit me for the way I'm going to start dealing with this. And like I said, I'm stepping back away from, I guess, the more vigilante side of things, and I'm going to start, whatever you want to call it, engaging streamers, working on an actual workshop that I can present to education boards, anything, talk to people at Fem Gaming, find out what these girls are doing. What are their ideas? What can we create? Is there a module? Is there something that we can, like that's something, imagine if there was a module whenever you downloaded a major, like, AAA game, like multiplayer game, where you had to complete a module on what is unconscious bias, what is racism, what is sexual harassment. Do you know if there are people that don't even know what sexual harassment is? A dude was in the middle of sexually harassing me and saying outrageous shit to me. And I said to him, do you realize what you're doing is sexual harassment? And his response was, you fucking dumb bitch, I didn't touch you. People confuse sexual harassment with sexual assault. People don't even know what the meaning of shit is at this point. We need to educate the population. That's the first step. So sure, audit me as much as you want. What are you going to start doing, Destiny? You've got this platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been speaking out about issues related to this for quite a while. I think I'll continue to do so. I try to hold my own conduct in high regard, and I encourage others to do the same. I've had quite a few streams where we've talked about sexual harassment and the ways that people can intentionally and unintentionally apply uncomfortable sexual pressures onto others. So I'll probably just keep chugging along with that, I would imagine.
What if I gave you a list of academics who study this stuff? Would you have them on as guests?
If they had something specifically that they wanted to talk about, and if I thought it was responsible to platform them, then sure.
Because, like, this is where it starts. This is how we'll create a solution, through dialogue, right?
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, I could start doing it with my 30 followers on Twitch. but I'd much rather start slanging some names to you and get some relevant people on there, on like people with actual ideas on how to regulate the culture, on how to educate the culture, people who are smarter than me, that have done a lot more research on it than me. Like, that's where we need to go with this. And I'm going to start messaging other streamers, and I'm going to start recommending academics to them. Like, let's get these people a platform and talk about what needs to happen. It's not about a blame game. We're all in it. Some of us have played more of a part in it than others, of course. But that doesn't mean that what responsibility is, we don't have the onus of responsibility to actually start creating this dialogue and fixing it. Heck no. I fell in love with gaming at age 8, sitting there playing Sonic on Master System. You know, it captured my imagination from childhood gaming. I never thought it would become what it is today. I never anticipated that. I want it to be something like that, but with us all connected. And I know that sounds like super wholesome and like, you know, gooey, whatever, but I want it to be like that, but without all this like need for power, control, sexualization, objectification, like this narcissism, this mob mentality. Like, I want to see it get somewhere better, because it's my most beloved hobby and always has been, you know, and I still have faith in it. And I don't blame anyone for what it's become. It just is. It was how we were socialized. Let's socialize us into something better than that.
Sure, I don't necessarily disagree.
Cool. Well, then I'll send you some names of people that maybe have some better ideas than what me, my 6th year in master, is like. I'm nobody. Like, there's academics out there that have better ideas, and let's get them connected with people in Discord. Let's get them connected with people that are leaders in gaming. You know, like Blizzard have started something. What did they do recently? They used positive reinforcement. When you give props to other players.
Yeah, like honor systems and stuff.
Yeah, positive reinforcement is way more effective than punishment, right? And that's something that I've learned this for 6 years, and it didn't even get fully into my brain, where I was like, what am I doing? Like, canceling, exposing. We need positive reinforcement. Let's start positively reinforcing adaptive social behavior. It's always been shown in studies to be more effective than punishment. Why don't we start rewarding the behaviors we want to see? Blizzard are doing that now. And apparently, according to the guy who implemented this, toxicity levels and complaints have gone down like 40%. And that could also be because all of the racist, sexist, and homophobics moved to Valorant. I don't know. That could be like a confounding factor there. I don't know. But like, it could have had an actual impact. It's hard to measure, but it could have.
Possibly.
Let's do more shit like that.
Okay. Sure thing. Anything else you got for me? I don't really know how I can respond here, what I can add, but.
Well, you know, since I'm a crazy person, I better get on a call with my therapist. So it was lovely meeting you, Destiny.
Yep, I had a lot of fun with the conversation. It was pretty interesting. Hit me up if you ever want to chat about anything more particular. It's fun to chat, okay, buddy?
I'm going to go do some research, and maybe I'll come back to you, and please keep giving like a space. Even girl gamers at the grassroots, like, give them a space to talk, because it's all well and good for, you know, these like leading girl devs and stuff to talk about stuff, but they are still they're in a different form of it. So like the toxic corporate culture, the offhand, like maybe casual misogyny and corporate culture. I'm not saying that they didn't start off going through what I go through every day. Of course they did. But I still think like we need the platform from both ends. Like the female leadership that are fighting this every day and working really hard to fight it. And I have mad respect for them. But I also think we need to keep a line of sight on what's happening down the bottom as well, so that we have the full picture. And you're doing that. And as much as things got heated, I still think you're cool that you're doing that and you're giving people that platform, even if you think I'm crazy.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It's been fun chatting. Yeah, let me know if you ever want to chat again, okay?
No worries, Destiny. Peace.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
I grab him hard, and I bop him on the head with my head. I give him a head bop.